You're waiting on me, aren't you? Well, son of a gun. All right, everybody ready in the committee? Mike, you're all set? All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We bring this Department of Public Works meeting to order. Now this affidavit thing, I got to get straight here, okay, guys? This agenda was posted in the office of the county clerk on the 14th day of May, 2026. Notice was sent to the West Bend Daily News, Express News, WIBD, WMBZ Radio, WTKM Radio, My Community Now, Hartford Times Press, Kewaskum Statesman, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and I believe I covered it all. So everybody's in attendance except Supervisor Galitz. We're waiting on him yet. But for now, we'll stand and have a moment of silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you for everybody for being here. Our first item on the agenda is the election of vice chairperson. Is there anybody who's here who wishes to nominate themselves or wishes to be vice chair?
I don't think anyone present, but I would like to nominate Supervisor Brian Galitz.
I can second that one if it needs to be seconded. Doesn't have to be? All right. Anybody else? Now, do we have to call and vote on that? Do we have to vote? Okay. All approved, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Brian Galitz will be vice chair. We'll let him know when he gets here.
You will do an excellent job.
I think just for everybody's knowledge, he had interest in being chairman of some committee
Sure.
anyways, so this will give him the experience he
He's also the
needs.
senior member here, I will say that.
Duly noted. Duly noted. Okay, moving on to item B, orientation committee procedure. Is that going to be you, Mike? Okay. I'm sorry. See, I'm not reading my cheat sheets again, guys. I'll get there.
All right, hello committee members. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for letting me come up to the podium and speak to you. About a month ago, I gave a pretty long-winded orientation to the full board as part of our meeting, and wanted to be here today in this meeting and continue that a little bit for this committee. Over the last month or so, month and a half, I've been meeting with members of the board and have communicated to them, what my role is and asking what they would hope to see in their time on the board. And so, as part of this orientation, just wanted to run through a few things with each of you when it comes to the committee, the process, policy, that kind of thing. And so, hoping to just run through just those short items. So wanted to start, we're giving this orientation to every committee, and as part of that, we are kind of taking a step back and asking Brad, our attorney, to kind of give a legal orientation of the committee and what the role is. And then after that, I can go into more of the things that I wanted to say. But Brad, if you wanted to start off.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. So what I like to do is run you through the actual powers and duties of this committee and tell you a little bit about the kinds of things you'll be looking at as we go forward. Of course, the committee consists of 5 members, a chairperson and a vice chair, which is Brian Galitz is our.
Congratulations, Brian.
I'm breaking that.
You were nominated vice chair.
Congratulations.
No problem. No problem. Already off to a good start. So this committee oversees and is the standing committee for several areas of the county departments. I have my cheat sheet here. It is the following. It's the highway department, the transit division of the highway department, the facilities department, the railroad consortium. The county's representatives will report to this committee, the highway committee, The University of Wisconsin-Washington County campus, while we still own it, this is the committee that oversees that property and issues that deal with that particular property. This committee also oversees IT. And you are the standing committee for the transit division of the highway department. You are also in charge of when departments who you oversee want to add staff, and that staff adds headcount to the department and increases the department's budget. Those requests will come to you as well for you to decide whether or not those positions are appropriate. If a department adds headcount, but it doesn't change the budget, that wouldn't come to you. But if it affects the county budget, you'll have to approve those new positions or those new hires. So those are the things that's not a very exhaustive list, but you'll find as the session goes on that there are a lot of items that these departments deal with of all sorts, of all complicated matters, and those will all be coming before you.
Great. So as part of the orientation, just wanted to establish that we've been working with the chairs of the county board on procedure, Robert's rules, following the guidelines. Brad kind of mentioned that earlier. It's part of what we hope to improve and make your jobs easier, protect you, help you with doing your jobs. It's an important part of it. And so as committee members, you'll be going through, policy issues, agenda items. And so we're here essentially to help you with that, assist you, and be a resource for you. And so the chairs have been issued cheat sheets on Robert's rules and following guidance. Other guidance will be issued to the full board in order to help you as you navigate these committee hearings and the full board meetings and those kinds of items. So in terms of policy, we're going to be hearing from the department here after this, and they'll be giving you a rundown of what they work on. A lot of the policy is generated from them. I think in terms of listening to the board members about what some of their suggestions are, what some of their feedback is, for policy, I just want to make it clear as we go through the committee, as we go through agenda items and issues, please continue to lean on me if you have questions about something you see in a packet or a committee report. And I can work with you in the department on finding those answers, conducting additional research, and working generally on the policy that you're seeing before you in a committee or the full board. So that's been part of the orientation for the committees as well as the full body, as we navigate those issues. So and when you're seeing items from the department coming down, this kind of follows what I just mentioned, but if there are more questions you have on this issue or an adjacent issue that you want to explore more, that could be potentially a part of a policy item down the road, please let me know and come to me, and I'm here to do that work for you and work with you on that. So there's gonna be a lot of important issues coming down with this committee, and just keep that in mind as we navigate that and move forward from there. So and then with the committee, I kind of mentioned earlier, but I just wanted to run through it. There's going to be assistance provided by me to help you with procedures, with rules, and how do we navigate that along with Brad. So if you have questions, come to me, come to him, and we're here to help you and make sure that these are running smoothly and you're being protected as members, you're following the guidelines, and we're doing things the right way. So if there's any questions, do you guys have any questions for me or for Brad at all by any of this?
I just
Yep.
I have one comment if I can, just for the older members here. Not older age, longer serving members,
Longer tenure.
longer tenured. Thank you, Ken, so just so everybody is aware, so when we have an item come up to vote on, if I understand it correctly, we are going to discuss it first. And then we make a nomination or right? The first and second.
A motion.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
make a
Yep.
motion,
Yep.
first and second motion.
Yep.
But we used to right away. We would call it up and we would make the motion in second, and then we would discuss. The flow now is we should discuss it first and
Yeah.
then make the motion in a
The-
second?
I guess the proper procedure is that motions follow a presentation or.
A presentation, but it follows a presentation, but we can still ask questions while the presentation is being made. We can
Right.
still vet out, but we can't.
Right, because the
Okay.
purpose of the motion and second is to afford the body an opportunity and then to discuss it amongst yourselves. And it opens it up for debate, discussion, and eventual potentially vote.
Vote.
If a presentation is given and you don't like what's presented or you don't agree with what's presented, you're not going to make that motion to pass this thing, whatever that might be. Or you might make a different motion to postpone it or a
So the
motion to send it
motion is
elsewhere.
to Pass, so the motion is to is to pass it, not to open it to discussion, correct?
If I may, I mean, the presentation can be made. We can't discuss it until we've made that first and second motion to approve, to start discussing it. We can't really start discussing it until we've made that first and second motion. And then after that, we can discuss it and then vote on it, but we can't discuss it before that, correct?
What should happen is you're on the right track there. You get the presentation, so you have the information. Then, based on what you hear, you decide if or what motion you might want to make. It might be to pass a resolution. It might be to postpone whatever you heard. It might be to amend. But the motion and second come to allow you the opportunity to start discussing it. The presentation is where you get the information. You can ask questions, you can converse with the person who's making the presentation. But the purpose of the motion and second is to bring whatever that issue is that you're going to consider before you for your own debate and discussion. And that way, if there's something that's presented that you don't want to pass or you don't believe is necessary, you can decide not to bring a motion and it can simply, that matter can die and not go forward from there. The idea is that you really, if you're making a motion to pass a resolution and a second before you even get a presentation, do you really know what it is that you're considering? And so this is the intent is to give you all the information that you need, give you a presentation so you have the background, the facts, whatever the case may be, and then decide with that information what you're going to do with it. It might be to pass a resolution, it might be not, it might be something else.
Would you,
mm.
okay, so would you request that it be open for discussion? If if you want to have a discussion about the presentation afterwards?
That's when the motions are made, so we
But
can
I'm saying-
discuss it.
There's motion to vote and motion to open for discussion, or
Oh, you
what are we
wanna,
opening for?
he wants to limit the motion. Is that what I'm hearing? Limit the motion to just discussion, and then once we discuss it, do we have to make another motion to
Oh,
vote?
no,
Yeah,
you-
presentation.
Yeah, after the presentation is done, you can have your discussion. The thing is,
So there's no motion that's necessary, correct?
right, not to have a discussion. The idea is that if you're going to get the information first, so you have it. You can have, like, so you can interact, you can discuss, you can interact, but the motion shouldn't come till after you've decided and
Got
had
it.
that opportunity.
Okay,
Right,
got it.
that makes sense, yeah. And we're here to help and tweak and, these are our own rules, right? So nobody's going to jail if we deviate from that, or if we, do something a little different. Joe might, I don't know.
I'm gonna make
But-
an observation to
yeah.
you too, Mike. I'm not a really good rules are rules kind of guy,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
I just kind of,
Yeah, and I'll add to that, as I said in the first orientation and as we're, trying to make the point here is, you have a staff now, right? Which is me, you have the county attorney here. Come to us, we're here to guide you, right? And that doesn't just mean, policy prep or, constituent questions, but it also means helping you with this and the rules, the procedures, so. That's part of, the questions you had is part of the reason why this is happening, the orientation is happening, is to help educate and, make sure the members are aware of what the process is and all that, so, but.
If you were to get a presentation, let's say the way we had been doing it is, I'm going to make a motion to pass whatever resolution, and then there's a second, then you get your presentation. After you get that presentation, and you go, oh my God, we don't want to do this. Now you've got this motion sitting out there. By having the presentation and even some discussion first, you may decide, we're not going to make this motion. Or we're not going to do this. Or I suppose if someone does make a motion and a second and they discuss whether or not you should pass that motion or not, or that resolution or ordinance, somebody can make a second motion to postpone it indefinitely. And we'll help you through all that. We don't need to get too technical today. But the idea is not to put you in a corner and require votes on things that you're not comfortable voting on quite yet, or you need more information on quite yet. That's the idea. So we don't want you to make the motion first, because I think quite truthfully, it's premature and it's unfair to you. So.
Supervisor Gallitz? Do I say Vice Chair Gallitz?
Yeah, thank you. So in different settings, when we had followed Robert's rule, very similar to what you're describing here, we made it clear on our agenda if it was just a discussion item, or if it was a discussion and possible action item. For example, if it is just a monthly update because of either whatever ongoing project, and there's going to be no action on our part other than just hearing an update, then it was typically listed under discussion. So it's clear to the public that there's no action to be taken by the body on that particular topic item. So it sounds like we're probably going to follow the similar approach, or will it, like today's agenda says discussion or possible action? So is it always going to be that format, or will there be just a discussion item? And if there are any discussion items only, it'll be listed. If there aren't any, then there aren't. And then if it's going to be possible action, it would be.
Well, I've never liked pigeonholing the agendas, because the idea of the agenda is to give the public notice of what's coming before the committee or the board, right? And if we put discussion only, for example, or we only put discussion and don't put anything else besides that, then I think voting on that item might be a meetings violation. But if the public's aware that action could be taken, you could have that discussion and do nothing. But sometimes there's an item that comes up and all of a sudden some action may be required, something that we don't anticipate during a presentation, or some issue arises. If we don't give you that opportunity and that possibility to at least vote, then that could be a problem. So I like having the freedom for you to just discuss, or if something comes up, even if you didn't plan on taking action, you have that opportunity if you need it. If a left turn comes or a
So
curveball
then
thrown
they're
at you.
not gonna be denoted that way on the agenda. That's what I'm taking. Is
Shouldn't,
that-
I don't like the idea of having
Okay.
something saying
okay.
discussion or
Is
only
that Is
discussion.
that what you're saying though?
Right.
Brad? Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want to take the opportunity away from you to vote on something if something comes up that you need to take action on or decide to. You know,
Because pursuit,
I'm sorry, it's clarification there is, it doesn't have to be on the agenda to take action on it?
it has to be on the agenda to take action. But if we only put on the agenda discussion only, then I think you can't vote on it.
Okay.
Because the purpose of the agenda is to give the public an opportunity to show up and give them enough notice and understanding as to what you're discussing. And that essentially, if it says discussion only, they may not come because they feel nothing's going to happen. But if it says discussion and possible action, and they want to be here to see or hear something, if you're going to take a vote, we need to give them that opportunity.
But it needs
to come.
it needs to be on the agenda, discussion plus possible action. That action part of it, it has to be in there somewhere possible in order for us to take action on it. correct?
I think that's the better way to go. Yeah. It avoids the headaches.
Exactly, and just keep in mind, guys, that either Mike or I mean, we've been doing this long enough now where we'll let you know if we need to have a motion made, for this. Obviously, it would come after after the presentation, right? So it's just a different order now, but yeah, like before, there were certain times I couldn't tell if it was an action item or not, so I'd have to look at one of these guys, and usually it was either
Mhm.
Scott or Brad or somebody, and hey, do we need a motion on this? And they would, give me the old
Right.
nod.
And
And
the
I'd be ready
package
to-
should hopefully guide you as well. It
Sure.
should say, what's being requested by the department or whomever
Yep.
bringing the item. But again, by having the presentation first, it gives you the freedom to do what you want to do with the information versus being pigeonholed into, I have to, well, it says in the packet we have to vote on this resolution. Well, maybe you don't want to vote on this resolution if you hear the presentation. Maybe you want to
Maybe we
pull
have
it
to
off, or
table
maybe
it
you
and
want to
think about
postpone
it,
it, or you
right?
want to refer it elsewhere.
Right.
We want to give you that freedom to do that. That's what we're trying to do. So-
And I don't know if it was brought up, guys, sorry if I missed it, but the other thing too with these motions, when you bring up a motion, do you want them to say, I'm bringing up this motion for discussion or bring up the motion for vote? I
Well-
think we talked about it a little bit
Yeah, I think
yesterday,
we don't have
the,
to have one for discussion. It-
Right.
well, no, I mean, if it's an action item, when they make the motion, do they want you to specify what motion you're making? I thought it was brought up yesterday at the meeting that we gotta be more specific as to what action you wanna do.
Well, right. First of all, you're right. After the presentation's done, this is a public meeting. You, and it's been noticed and it's agended, you can discuss what you heard at the presentation. Um, The motion is intended then to take action on whatever item or
Okay.
whatever thing you want to accomplish, right? So then there's a motion and it might be, okay, I'm, after hearing this, we've had some, we're not going to make a motion to pass 2026 resolution, whatever one. And then there's a second. And what's the purpose of that? Now you can talk about the merits of the
Mhm.
motion. And you can amend it or do whatever you want to do with it.
Gotcha.
to amend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'd have to make another motion to amend.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we do
Like
with the
we've done
county
in the
board.
board meetings.
I mean,
Okay.
this really the only change I think, this really isn't going to change how you've done things. All we're doing, putting it in a little bit different order so that I think ideally it gives you more freedom. And I think we've had problems in the past where the committees and board has been pigeonholed into taking votes on certain things without really knowing what it is they were about to hear, what it is they were about to vote on. Yes, you get a packet. Yes, there's conference calls with the chairs of the committee, so you can kind of know ahead of time. But the idea is to give you the freedom to come here and discuss and debate and then decide how to vote or what to vote on.
Because the reality is if there's not a second, then the motion dies and
Correct.
Correct.
unless someone else. Now, here's my question. If that, let's say in that example, Supervisor McCulloch makes a motion, no one else seconds it, therefore it dies. Supervisors, Spalek says, hey, I wanted to make a motion for something worded different than what Supervisor McCulloch. He could then make that motion and look for a second.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And bear in mind, if something dies in committee, the chair has the authority to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
In addition to a friendly amendment to a motion that's already been first and seconded.
Right, that's a different thing. Right, you've had a motion, you've had a second, and I think of a friendly amendment, like the motion was, on Tuesday, we're gonna have lunch. And the friendly amendment is, wait a minute, we meant Monday. Anybody got a problem with Monday? I misspoke, it should have been Monday. Nope, yeah, okay, Monday. Friendly amendment, everybody just accepts it, it should be Monday, right? It's usually a kind of a minor error or, adjusting something that everybody just agrees. And if there's any objection whatsoever, no longer is it a friendly amendment, then you gotta vote on it. Mhm. So,
Clear as mud, guys, right? We'll get used to it.
we'll get you
Yep,
through it,
yep,
yeah. It'll
yep.
be like second nature, but a couple meetings into it, yeah.
It'll take me 2 years and I'll get it right.
Okay, so thank you for that. We appreciate the time. At this point, the orientation, we're gonna hand it over to the department and they're gonna run through some things for you. So,
Yeah, I'll bring up item C, introduction to highway department. Josh, you now have the floor.
I get the green here. Oh, it's not on those.
Oh. Well, now they're
No,
not.
it's,
Now they are.
all right, good afternoon and welcome to the new committee members. Welcome to the Public Works Committee. I'm Josh Glass. I'm the Assistant Highway Commissioner. I've been with the Highway Department now for 10 years, a little over 10 years, with the county now for 20. So it's great working with Scott, working at the Highway Department and got a good thing going. So I'll give you a little introduction of what we have going right now. A little bit of contact information. If you ever need to get a hold of Scott or myself, never hesitate to reach out. We're available day and night, anytime. Feel free to take our cell phone numbers down and reach out to us at any point,
Even at 3 AM?
even at 3 a.m. If you really need it, anything for you, John, of course.
All right.
Yep. A little bit about of our organizational chart here. So I report to Scott as he's the highway commissioner slash chief public works officer slash county engineer slash IT director slash. And I'm the assistant highway commissioner. Then we have 3 patrol superintendents in the highway department. We have our 2 facilities. We have our shop in West Bend and one in Slinger. And in West Bend, that's where our full-time mechanics are housed as well. So we have a shop mechanic and a foreman that oversees that group, 4 full-time mechanics. And then in West Bend also, we have a superintendent, 2 foremen, and our labor crews there. Over in Slinger, we don't have the full-time mechanics and office staff, but we have a patrol superintendent, 2 foremen, and the labor crews over there. We try to bring on a few summer help as well. And then in our office, we also have our accounting supervisor, Mickey Supernat, Roy Hartman, our purchase agent, Brad Abraham, our county engineer, Charlie does transit. And Ted Dumke, our surveyor. He also handles our permitting. So these are the people that make it happen. Just to give you a visual on the number of people that we have there. The far right third of the page there is our Slinger shop. Middle third is our West Bend crew. Office staff on the top left and our mechanics down in the bottom left. So we have roughly 50 when we're fully staffed. We do have a couple openings right now in both shops. These are the areas that we cover. So when we get calls from the sheriff department, they have copies of this map as well. But we got to figure out, we get calls from the public from anywhere in the county. They don't know necessarily, who has jurisdiction where. So if say we have an issue out on Highway A, we can look at this map. It's in red up in the Farmington area there, and that falls under the area of our West Bend shop. So I would divert that call to our patrol superintendent in West Bend, and then he would handle the matter with his crew. And then everything in blue there, it's kind of like Highway 41 in the Cedar Lake area going southwest. That's our Slinger shops coverage area there. So it's a combination of county and state highways, including the freeways. And just so your knowledge, if you didn't already know, county highway is named with a letter and the state highways are numbers. So just to know which level of government has control out there, that helps.
I'm gonna ask you a
clarify.
question. This came up in 2020 and I don't think I had an update since then, but back then I believe Scott said we had 932 lane miles.
I'm getting to that.
You
You're
are,
jumping the gun. Yep.
I'm sorry. All right.
Yep.
Carry on, sir.
I was going to ask that. That was going to be a quiz question. So when we do, plow, obviously snow plowing is a big deal. That's probably our highest profile action that we do out there. When we do a full call out and we have a snowstorm going on, we'll do a 19 truck call out. So that's a full call out's 19. We have 10 sections. We call them plow sections divvied up between our 2 shops. 10 of them are dispatched from Slinger shop, 9 from West Bend shop. So 19 total. And then in the winter, we also have 2 people go on second shift out of our West Bend shop and 2 people go on to third shift out of our Slinger shop just to have a little additional road monitoring and quicker response. Here's a visual of our plow sections, and John jumped the gun a little bit, but so we look at things in center line miles sometimes, and sometimes it's lane miles based on how we got to handle maintenance and quantities of certain materials, things of that nature. So state center line miles, we have 311 center line miles. So that's like if you have a yellow line painted on a road, that's your center line miles. So you got generally speaking, a lane in each direction on each side of that. County center line miles, about 178. This is according to our county's GIS system there. So add that up and we got about 489 center line miles. Now, when we do plowing or we do chip sealing, we got to quantify area and lane and response time and all that. I have to do a lot of calculations in actual lane miles. So essentially doubling that, your center line miles times 2, which as John was getting to, you're very close, about 978 total lane miles. And then to visualize that, so when we have a full call out going with our 19 trucks on the road, if you stretch out all of those lane miles that we're calling or that we're covering at one time in one call out and one repetition of coverage, you can string that out and it's a straight line from here all the way down to roughly New Orleans. So it's a kind of a eye-opening if you quantify it that way. As far as winter operations, now that we're out of winter, plowing, and then salting, we have gotten into using solar salt. We had issues with debris and poor quality rock salt going through our brine systems. We do liquid brine on the roads. We treat that. We add that with salt as part of our application, is doing actual just straight up brine application out there as well in the winter. Pay a little more for the solar salt, but it has helped our equipment immensely in the time and the clean out that's necessary from the dirtier rock salt. So that has been a very good investment on our end. We've been trying over the last several years now, ever since Scott came to the highway department, we've been really trying to increase our brine usage and trying to reduce the rock salt usage as much as possible. You know, we're learning, there's a lot of trial and error too, of based on the conditions of the storm, and every storm is different. You know, where's that sweet spot on how much you put down of each, and based on the moisture levels and all that stuff and the wind directions, on how we try to tackle that balance with that. Trying to increase the quantity of brine that our trucks can handle. So as we're building and putting out new trucks and equipment, trying to bring that quantity of brine up without compromising too much of the rock salt capacity at the same time, while still being able to cover the area without running out of materials as best as we can.
Yeah, for our new members, I know we talked brine quite a bit over the
Yeah.
years, but can you let them know why the brine is better?
Yeah, so if you put brine, you might see the wet lines on the road in the winter. So that essentially adds, it's kind of like putting Pam in a frying pan. It does have some melting power, but based on the type of snow predicted, we might put that down there so that on that first round, it's gonna blade off a little bit cleaner and have a little bit more of a quicker melting action, getting that off the road. You know, everything's different if you got drier snow versus wetter snow. There's a science in it for
Mhm.
sure. And we lean very heavily on our superintendents and foremen, and they do a great job, in my opinion, and we're not always perfect and conditions change on a dime, but that is what we do. And then we also put that on as pre-wetting the salt to activate that salt that's being put on the road, which reduces the amount of bounce and loss of salt off the road, as well as activate that into a solution and to get it melting quicker. Here you can see just a visual of kind of how our numbers have gone over the years. That top purple line is state and the bottom red line is county. So this is the quantity of salt used over the years. So generally speaking, it's been reduced. Last winter, we had a little bit higher number, and even though you don't have giant snow quantities, even when it's out there and you got that little pesky just flurry, you know, you got to be out there. You got to make sure the roads are safe. So last year we did use a little bit more than years past. Here's our brine and solar salt usage. You can see the prices now, they're not going down. Rock salt and solar salt continue to rise in price, but so we, you know, not just environmentally, but also for the budget, we try to be conscious of what we're putting out there. Just a very small,
One second.
Yep.
You had mentioned earlier about the solar salt, that 50% increase. You mentioned there was a reduction in maintenance and repair cost rates, so that presumably does it help bridge that delta?
yes, it does. We have been, there's a lot of counties that are doing the same thing and tracking that. And we've been working with the state of Wisconsin too, to help, you know, they're hesitant to add in additional investment into the solar salt end of things. We could see the benefit. It's our equipment, and you know, we take it a little more personal on protecting our equipment that way. But they are getting on board now because we have shown them the numbers that it does wash itself out as far as the additional cost versus what you save. And some stuff isn't even quantifiable, like what you're saving on the pumps of the trucks and the plumbing and the trucks. That's hard to gauge that. But there definitely is, just with the clean out of our brine machines, the brine makers that we have at our shops, that you put that salt in there and it turns it into the liquid. Just the reduction on the time that it takes to do that, in addition to the speed that we can create more brine, has gone up dramatically. So we can really crank it out much faster than we used to. hopefully that answers that question.
Okay, so-
Just a quick, a sample of some of the stuff that we do. You're gonna see a lot of different things going on this time of year, and obviously everything's seasonal and always changing, but we're doing, getting into the crack filling and mastic season now. We got chip sealing, also known as seal coating, that's coming up in June. That's a big operation for us, for about a week. Mowing, woody vegetation, herbicide spraying, base patching, all kinds of stuff, bridge maintenance. So we're considered a maintenance county. Other counties do have their own asphalt plants. They do bigger construction jobs. Washington County is considered a maintenance county. So we're out there, you know, if we're doing a repaving or reconstruction job, we bid that out to some of the bigger companies. But we do more of the maintenance end for the county and state systems.
And Josh, one more thing I want to just share with the new committee members here that, was it last year or 2 years ago, we started using granite,
Mhm.
right? And, it's a little more expensive, but we're hoping that the long term, right? It's a
Yep.
harder product, so it'll stay on the road longer and the maintenance will go down on that as well. So,
Yep, you'll see a picture of that too.
yeah, I got you. Am I jumping the gun again?
It's all right. So here's a couple visuals on some of the things that we do out there. We've also been doing our shared service program with the local governments of Washington County there. Doing a lot of that same stuff, crack filling, ditching, culvert replacement has been a great thing to help them out, as well as get our crews off of some of the higher volume roads on the state, and it's a nice change of pace sometimes. It also has been a great, it's been helps our relationship with the locals as well, helping them do their work, and our patrol superintendents do a great job coordinating with the local leaders on getting that work done for them. It's a quick snapshot of like roughly where our maintenance budget sits. As you can see, look at the county number versus the state number. If you recall, when I was talking about the mileage, if you see a problem with that, the state has far more miles and less money dedicated to it as far as their maintenance dollars. They do have special pots of money that can be dedicated to some special projects there, but yeah, we're always, the cost of things is not going down at all. So trying to keep up with that. I mentioned chip sealing, seal coating. So we've been into the granite stuff here the last few years. We started that in 2013. But here you can see the kind of crude highlighting that I did on this map here. But everything in green is what we're doing on county. We're also working as part of the shared service program, doing chip sealing with the village of Richfield, that's in blue, as well as the town of Addison. And the town of Addison is gonna try a quartzite stone for that. But we're gonna do all granite on the county system and with village of Richfield.
If I may, what's the difference between quartzite and granite?
That's what we're gonna find out. So I think quartzite is not, it's cheaper than granite. But time's gonna tell. I'm interested in exploring quartzite if it is cost effective, but I want to see what it looks like after it's applied.
Okay.
There is more of a local source, or it's closer source out of a pit. But I want to see what that kind of stone does and how it holds up to plowing and what it does with traction.
Sure, sure.
For that
Now
little
I'm
bit of time.
assuming Bob gets that with Michael's.
Yeah, it does have a
Probably.
source, I believe.
He does? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
We put a mile, test mile, do we put it out there, test it for a year, is that?
We haven't yet, but that's why I'm interested to see how it looks and how it works for the town of Addison, just to see what that final product looks like. I wasn't quite ready to dive in yet, but we're always looking at other products out there too, and
Yeah,
the
Supervisor
world's
Gallo?
always evolving.
Sorry.
Josh,
Mhm.
so whether it be our county roads or the contracted work that you're describing here, as the shoulder work, is it all moved away from the loose gravel, whatever the term it was, to the, I used to know the terms for this.
Rumble strip?
No. When you scrape off the old asphalt and you reuse that for the shoulder, that has a longer life than, and it doesn't wash away like the.
Yeah, the
normal-
millings.
Yeah. the
Yeah,
millings,
so if that's, yeah, that's referring to like a mill. If you mill off the asphalt, you have those millings, and that does have with the oils that are in there that can be reused as like a shoulder product that does have better compaction in time. So we definitely do that in certain spot areas for some of our shouldering or around guardrail posts, things like that.
You ever use it for a base stone? I've seen some states that'll bust up stuff and kind of keep it in there as a base.
Yeah, we do different things out there.
Sure.
For sure.
Interesting. Thank you.
I don't know if, does that answer the question?
I was saying personal observation, I know exactly where that milling is reused and it stays where it's
Yeah.
put versus not. And all of a sudden you have erosion and you almost get your road bed that's starting to erode away and.
Yep.
I'm sure I'll be calling you now versus Scott.
Yeah, we do. There's other things too that we're getting exposed to, and we're experimenting with different things to help, because there's always gonna be problem areas out there. But where we have washouts, especially with some of the flooding we've had over the last 2 years, we're definitely doing some more intense measures of trying to contain some of the washout areas.
Supervisor, is it all right if I call you Supervisor Erdman? Is that okay? Okay.
What is the cost variance between the granite and the quartzite? Is there a savings? Is there?
The granite, when it's all said and done, is about $45 a ton. And we traditionally had been doing limestone screenings out of a closer source, and you gotta include, shipping and hauling and all that stockpiling into the mix as well, which was down in closer to more like the $10 or $15 a ton area. But we're hoping to, the goal here is we're hoping that the granite, we only need one application in that pavement life cycle versus we were planning 2 shots of the limestone and double that labor and all of that goes into it. So hopefully in the long run, there's the cost benefit over the 20 to 30 year asphalt life cycle.
And where does quartzite fit into that?
That's what we're gonna see. If we go to quartzite, then I wanna see what kind of longevity is involved with that type of a product. The granite's a harder stone than the limestone. The limestone would get polished off by
Mhm.
plowing over time.
Yeah.
I anticipate quartzite kind of falling in the middle of the
Okay.
two.
Would it be with price as well?
Yeah, yes.
Somewhere like
Yep.
$30 a ton or something like that? or
20, 30-ish,
something?
somewhere in there is what I would ballpark it as. But obviously the source, the
closer
the
source is
hauling,
big.
especially now with diesel costs and everything else. I
Mhm.
mean, that all plays into the mix now, and the oils that you put into your chip sealing as well.
Sure.
So
That'll be-
here's a visual of the granite. This was up on XX in 2023, the first year that we tried it. We started with this on the curves there to have additional traction. The limestone that we had been using is a grayer, whitish type stone. This has more contrast, so the paint lines pop out a little bit more. But it's also intended to help keep cars on the road, just with the additional traction of that harder stone. And so far it has been working. Even in the winter, you're gonna have more thermal melting power on some of the hills. You might see like from Big Cedar Lake going up Highway K. There's other hills and curve areas, Highway Q down in Erin between 83 and K there, that windy, curvy. There's a lot of hydroplaning there. So it's early, but so far over last winter, it seems to be helping. So hopefully that continues to be the case and reducing crashes at the same time. So I'm trying to be strategic as we roll this out around the county. We do vegetation management. We do herbicide spraying, which we're just kind of wrapping up now. We do the areas that we do a mow out on the county right away system. We spray that the next year. And then we do 2/3 of the system kind of in a rolling rotation around the county to try to manage some of the noxious and invasive weeds and plants out there, especially the parsnip and poison ivy. So you can see in that visual there how it controlled even just the dandelions, but everything else too. This stuff does work. It also slows down the grass growth and helps our mowing operations move a little bit quicker and last a little bit longer. Here you can see the visuals on how that comes out of the truck. That's just water that we're spraying on the parking lot as we're setting the truck up. So here's a visual. Then now the state is getting on board with this as well. So we're out there doing, should be wrapping up if they didn't already this week on the freeway system, doing one pass on the outside as well as the inside on the freeways.
Wasn't there some butterfly thing that we had to hold off on that for a while, or did they get away
It
with that?
has a lot of different regulations that
Yeah.
affect the timing of when we can do certain practices.
Okay.
Mowing, tree cutting and all of that. There are windows when we can and can't do certain things
That's
because of
still in effect.
pollinators and other species of different critters out there, so.
Okay.
Yep. Equipment, so we have roughly about, 1.5 million that we have annually to work into our equipment fleet. Might seem like a lot, but now with the cost of everything going up, that gets used up very quickly. We tried to get roughly new trucks into the fleet, and we cycle out our older trucks or problematic equipment. And then we try to work in other specialty equipment, crack filling machine. Well, here's a new broom there in the middle, as well as a new skid steer with the Fecon head for some of our wood management. So the cost keeps going up, and customer service seems to be an issue these days too on some of the
Josh,
issues. Yep.
do we buy through like a state consortium or something to that effect? to get
Yeah,
the
so
cost?
Roy Hartman handles all of our purchasing. And he does a great job working through all that, bidding things out and working with different manufacturers.
If you don't mind sharing with the committee, what is the price of a plow truck these days? One?
Hold on.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that
that's
down
coming
there
up too.
too? Am I jumping again?
Yeah. Well, so when I started with the highway department roughly 10 years ago, it was around 250,000 from truck build to when it rolls out fully set up. Now we're looking at 350,000 with all the technology and
Mhm.
the way that we're building. And I would put up our truck fleet against anybody in the state for quality of vehicle out there that we put together. We build them in-house, we order the chassis, but we have a full-time mechanic that builds the trucks and the wiring. We know all the wires that go into it. And I would stack it up against anybody out there. I think our guys do an excellent job with that. You might have noticed some of the green lights out there nowadays. So there is a law that was passed a few years ago allowing green lights on municipal vehicles. So that's just one of the things that we're trying to, and we jumped on board with that for increased visibility in low light and whiteout conditions. And that has been great. Especially the guys that, when you're working out on a freeway, things can get pretty hairy out there, and having that extra visual and that extra pop out there goes a long way.
Do you know if the townships or villages have switched over? Because it's,
Many have.
Oh, they have.
Yep, you
Okay.
might see some that still have the amber,
Mhm.
but it definitely is gaining popularity, and the lighting technology now is just unbelievable. Every year there's more and more fancy bells and whistles that you can do
Yeah,
with the
okay.
lighting.
Well, it was nice when I saw them at first because I knew which ones are county trucks right
Yep.
away.
Yeah,
Because
there's,
everybody else still had the
yeah,
amber lights.
it's
so-
technically only legal for municipal vehicles. You do see some out there, private vehicles, and,
Gotcha.
private contractors have it too. But yeah, it's been a great benefit for sure. So talked about that on why we've been incorporating green. Another big thing that we do that I'm very much involved with is roadway planning. You might have heard about our 2060 Transportation Network Sustainability Plan. It's a mouthful. But we project out there the cost of, well, first we figure out which roads are going to need to be repaved or reconstructed. And then we take the costs over, cost trends that we've experienced in recent years, and we try to project that out long-term all the way out to the year 2060.
And with that plan, I love that plan and you're part of that lab. Do you share that word with like City of West Bend, Town of West Bend, or Slinger? Have we shared that or gone out and how we do it?
Yep.
How we plan it?
Mhm.
Cause I know West Bend is, that's their challenges, I guess I'll just put it that way.
Yep, we actually produced, so we changed the design life from 2050 to 2060 this last run. So the original plan that we did back in 2018 was out to the 2050 year mark. But within the last few years, we actually did produce a plan for the city of West Bend, and theirs is a 2050 plan. We also did Village of Kewaskum, and then we're working with some of the townships as well.
You create the plan
Yep,
for them?
we're doing that as part of, as part of a planning service for
And then
them.
Present, okay.
But they're all well aware of our plan. We actually just hosted, within the last 2 weeks, we invite all of the local governments to come to the highway department and we hold a meeting and just give them a very similar overview of what the services that we have and some tips and tricks and funding sources and all kinds of stuff. It's a 3-hour meeting. It's a great meeting to have.
What kind of, I guess,
Mhm.
my question would be then, I like that, what kind of response do you get? Do you get a good turnout from all the communities, basically?
I would say it's, yeah, very good. Yep, for sure. And it helps strengthen that relationship every year too.
Yeah, for sure.
Very productive meeting.
Supervisor Galitz?
Josh, if I could expand on that a little bit, so.
Mhm.
All the municipalities have challenges with maintaining their roads, right? And replacing them, chip sealing, fill in the blank. Richfield, for example, is a year or two less on its referendum, is gonna have to go through another one to be able to pay for another 10 years of road maintenance. And I've looked at the 2060 plan, but my question is there the potential to get all those stakeholders together and do some economies of scale and say, hey, if we got 60 miles of road that need to be repaired year 5 through 10, and we just knock it out because we got equipment that's over in this section and it's covering 2 different municipalities, and then now next year we're in this section of the county and we can knock out these other 2. Is that type of coordination being considered, and how successful?
Yeah, so you mentioned chip sealing. So we do, like, as part of that meeting and we're communicating with the local municipalities constantly. But we do try to coordinate, like if we're in the southwest quadrant of the county, we try to, we reach out to them and say, does anybody have any chip sealing that you'd want to get on board with? And then we'll hammer that out on one given year. And say a township over on the other end of the county might have some roads. We'll say, hey, we're going to be over there next year or in 2 years, and see if we can try to make it as efficient as possible. We are able to move around pretty well as part of that operation. But chip sealing, definitely, we do have a lot of coordination with that.
Right, and that's some of the service, but if there's services that have been bid out to a private contractor because a county can't handle it, is there any coordination of that between the municipalities? Because if you got, again, you got equipment, those over here
Yeah.
doing these 20 miles, and oh, guess what? There's a few other 5 feet away. Well, we're not touching that. And
Yeah.
if the equipment's there, just get the shit done.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to lean on them. I wouldn't be able to answer that one very, very confidently. I don't know what communication they all have among themselves necessarily that we're not involved with.
Is
But-
that something that the county could look at? Because if we know what the Pacer and all that information is gathered, does the GIS have that all listed? For the
They-
county roads and the
we-
village roads, all the roads in the county, for example, are all the Pacer rated? And the
We-
GIS have that, cause then it would seem, put a AI bot in there and says, all right, here's all the stuff that needs to be done.
There is potential. There are gears spinning in our, to potentially grow and head to that direction using more modern technology.
But there has to be, and sorry, I'm just thinking about that, but there has to be some budgetary considerations. We can't, we're gonna be here, we'll just do that for that because the cost of the
Right.
product. and
There's a
stuff,
lot of
and
factors.
so it-
Yeah, I'm not
I think that
implying
all has
that,
to be factored
this
in.
Pollock, I'm just
Mhm.
suggesting that if we have all that information
Yeah.
in one GIS layer.
Mhm.
And then you can go into it and say again, hey, let's coordinate this, and every municipality's gotta pay their fair share. Percentage, whatever, or maybe we can get some economies, discounted rates, again, versus just doing things disjuncted. When
Right.
potentially you could do it more than what we're already doing.
Right.
If I can,
I see things heading in that general direction now with the modern technology that's becoming available and AI and that kind of thing. But as you're mentioning, like there's a lot of different factors that come into play and things can change very, very quickly. Even if you have a plan in place, it might not be there for long.
right, right.
But
Wha-
there we do communicate very well already. But there's always room to do more for sure. So we're always open to new ideas.
Well, one of the things that I do too in the town of West Bend, the town of Addison and the town of Wayne, guys, is when I go to their meetings or monthly meetings, I don't make every one of them, but I'll hit them in spring early spring, and I remind them guys to get a hold of our park, our highway department if they have any road work with the shared services and stuff like that. So that coordination can start before the season gets here. And I'm hoping that helps,
Yep.
just to remind them.
Absolutely. The more the better.
So,
And that's a big reason for we have that meeting every spring too, is to,
yep,
and you have turnover with local officials and there's, I mean,
Sure.
it's just a little bit different. So, it's very productive and we're always open to new ways of coordinating and
Well, shared services, that was something too that I really believe in, but
Mhm.
we do the bridges and culverts and stuff with those communities too.
correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
Other aspects of roadway planning, the county has its, we call it the intersection safety analysis, and we also do the roadway safety analysis. So, we take crash trends and we break that down on number of crashes, crash rate, crash severity, and we try to identify the most hazardous areas on the county highway system. And now we have also started to do some of these for the locals as well. We did 2 townships, Town of Polk, Town of Jackson last year, and presented their plans to them as well. So we try to, as our resources allow, we try to just keep chipping away at these and try to help them any way that we can through some of our planning efforts. If you're interested in seeing some of the more significant projects that we have coming up in the next few years, our CIP, Capital Improvement Plan, is out online, looking out to the year 2031. So this is our repaving and reconstruction plan, looking out 6 years. This year we have Highway S up in the village of Kewaskum area there at the north end of the county. We're gonna be repaving that very soon. Highway M down in the Trenton area, 2 miles of reconstruction going on right now. Then a few other spot projects. We got Highway R Bridge Foundation, and we're gonna adjust the intersection of M and Trading Post in Trenton as well. That's our plan this year, some of our bigger things. I talked about equipment a little bit already. This is where we're getting into the cost of the trucks and how things have changed. As I mentioned, it's about $350,000 now for a new truck, so it's hard to keep up with that, but we do our best. Here's just a sample of some of the things that we brought in, new equipment over the last few years. Here's some of the upgrades we've been doing. If you remember the old orange Max from the 70s, those were rolling for several decades.
Yep.
Those are now all gone and now replaced with trucks like you see on the right there that are new quads. That's what they look like. This is our traffic control truck. White one is the one we used to have, and now we have a bigger one. As you might see this one out on the freeways and around the county. Our paint truck, big upgrade to there 5-10 years ago. A lot went into the design of this truck. That's about $500,000 in itself, just for that one piece of equipment.
Then just, you said a lot of, what, just kind of an overview of what's do you know what's different? I mean, what benefits of the new one? I'm just kind of curious. You say you put a lot into it.
Mhm.
What is the highlight of it? Or
Yeah, so just the plumbing technology and some of the technology that's within that truck. One of the biggest things we faced with that particular piece of equipment was when the state wanted to go to a 6-inch painted line versus 4. And it was like after we had that truck already designed and set up, now they wanted to change the regulation and we had to go back and retrofit plumbing and nozzles and everything else, figure in additional quantities to haul while they're out and about and not running out. That was a huge hurdle, but we figured out a way to do what we could. So many other things too. This is just a very small sample size of what some of the things we do in highway. Other things that this committee will be seeing over the next 2 years. You mentioned bridge and culvert aid resolutions, different CIP projects will be coming across. We talked about the intersection and roadway safety plans, 2060 plans. Whenever we have extra right of way out there, we're looking to get that back on the tax roll. That would go through this committee. Relocation orders, if we need to acquire right away for improvement projects. Access appeals, that comes to this committee as well, if we have to work through that with landowners. If there's any win-win jurisdictional transfer opportunities, we're looking at those. general budget, and then Scott wanted me to mention a few other non-highway things, like just as example, lead laterals, broadband, and the county's master plan too, so
Finished Hartford.
I believe so.
I think we're working on West End.
Yep, it's moving along. So just so you know, what we try to do, our mission statement is we want to provide a safe public transportation network that's well maintained, accessible, and enhances safe traffic flow and mobility. And if you would like to come and visit our shop or sit down and one-on-one with Scott or myself, we'd be glad to do that. If you have any questions on anything, take a tour of the shops, whatever we can do to help you guys know what we do and talk things out. We're all ears. We'd be glad to do that for sure. That's what I have.
Awesome. Any questions from the committee? I think we probably covered them all already, huh?
Yeah, go out in a plow truck once. I never took him up on that. But I wanna go
Let
out.
us know.
You
Mhm.
you wanna go on a plow truck? He says, we'll get you out. We'll set you up.
Yeah, takes about
Never took him up on it, though.
2 to 2.5 hours usually to do one cycle on a plow route. Yep.
Okay, sounds good.
All right,
Well,
thank
it's
you.
4 o'clock, so we're gonna have to keep moving along here. Introduction, information technology. Mr. Joe.
All right, good afternoon. I'm Joel Wappert. I'm the Director of IT for the IT Department, Information Technology. We report to our cabinet member, Scott Schmidt, Public Works, Chief Public Works Officer. In the slide that's in your presentation, I do have our organizational structure there. Small department, 10 employees, including myself. I have 4 direct reports. Eric Mesa, who's our information security officer and infrastructure manager. He has 5 direct reports under him. As well as I have, of the 4 that report to me, I have 3 application developers and application support specialists under me. On the second page or a third page there, technically, I have our team. You can see our pretty faces, and put a name to a face. I will admit some of those were generated by AI. I won't tell you which ones. James is a recent hire. So a little bit about the team. James is a recent hire. He helps specifically our Health and Human Services with their medical records program. He was just hired probably less than a month ago. Eric's been with us for about 1.5 years. Dave has been with us for a little over 10 years. Michael Yittry's going on 26 years. Michael Madden's been with us for about 2 years. Michael Taylor, about 3 years. Lucas is coming up on 6 years. Dave Zarder's been about 10 years. And Michelle's been about 9 years. I've been here, this is my 6th year with the county as well. So some longevity in some of the positions, which is good. We have a good team overall. Kind of going over some of the roles and responsibilities. So anything related to technology in the county, the technology in this boardroom, while we directly support it as much as we can, we'll work with the technology vendors. So Forte designed this room and program this room. So we'll work with them. We'll help troubleshoot the technology in this room. The computers, unfortunately, your tablets, that's all stuff that we support around the county. And then all the infrastructure that makes everything inside of the computers work. If you guys ever want an interesting tour of a data center, just let me know and I can kind of show you how all the brains of the operations work. It's pretty interesting. I think it's more interesting than those trucks that these guys have.
Well, the trucks might be more fun though.
That's up for debate.
Yes.
Is the
Um,
data center in this building?
It is, yes, it is. So my role is as department head is I kind of oversee IT infrastructure for, or the path and direction of IT for the county. The county trusts me to kind of make some good decisions, work with each of the departments of the county to come up with a strategy for their department to see what technology needs they have. Also pushing us forward to make sure we're not falling behind in technology. Information security is also kind of under my umbrella. I kind of oversee that, even though Eric is the information security officer. That's kind of a dual role that we both take on. It's ever changing, so it's very important. And then both of us look into that deeply. Network design, server design. I kind of oversee the IT shared services right now that we provide to municipalities, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I oversee the application developers. Eric Mesa is our information security. He's another IT management member. He oversees kind of security on a day-to-day basis. He's looking after reports. He's looking after what's in the industry. He's really doing a good job at that and kind of making sure that we are doing what we can do with the technology that we have to stay secure. He's also our HIPAA security officer. So he's kind of oversees the IT security around medical record stuff for primarily human resources and our CJIS, criminal justice information. He kind of oversees that program as well. Eric has supports the infrastructure team. So the 5 people that report to him, and they kind of run the day-to-day help desk support, servers, backup of our data, the network, and anything else kind of that comes along the way, any fires that come along the way in IT with technology. And another big thing Eric's leading right now is a big push for AI, which is one of the strategic priorities for the county. So he's doing a really good job at leading that effort. And then he splits roles with me on shared services. So I'll kind of oversee and work with the municipalities, and then he'll kind of do the project management of that. If we bring a municipality on board, he'll work with them to make sure everything's in place, and then he'll work with the team. And then Eric and I will also do advanced system support. Okay. All right. Moving along. I just got a note. The support team, they handle everything from servers, anything that makes the county run, applications that the departments use. And I have all those roles and responsibilities listed in the sheet. I'm not going to read every one of them just for the sake of time. But you can kind of see their roles. I will point out Lucas works in our sheriff's department. He handles a lot of the technology for many of the police departments. We have police chief from Germantown with us today. So he actually helps them out with technology that the police department uses, that our sheriff office uses. And that's for many different municipalities that use our services. The Village of Kewaskum has a police department that uses our programs here. Germantown does as well. And there's other municipalities. So I'm pointing him out specifically. Mike Taylor, he's our support for the shared services. So he's the frontline guy. Whenever a municipality needs support, they call into him, and he takes kind of the lead on that shared services we'll go over. Michael Madden, I have a lot of Michaels. Michael Madden and Michael Yitri kind of, once again, help support different areas of IT. And then Dave, Michelle, and James are application support. Okay. I'm getting on to the 26, 27 projects. These are some just high-level projects that IT is heavily involved in. The remodel project. So it's not just a facilities project. There's technology that goes in the conference room. There's data connections. There's wireless access points. So IT is heavily involved in that. We're moving off of a remote platform of Citrix over to a different, more secure remote platform for remote users. Looking at possibly expanding IT shared services. Also offering enhanced cybersecurity offerings for municipalities that we have agreements with. Currently, we're researching and testing cloud phone system. We did have an outage on last Monday because of construction. An ARC was created, brought down the whole data center. I did send an email out. You guys probably received that email. But that's what we're looking at. What can we do in cloud? So if something like this happens, a disaster happens in this building, how can we continue on? How can business proceed? How can we service our constituents? So cloud phone system. We're also looking into AI. So there's policy may come before the board regarding AI. Some other small projects upgrading our internal application servers, just staying up to date with security fixes and patches and everything. Document management, migration to SharePoint and Teams. So once again, using more cloud services that we're already paying for. Upgrade to network infrastructure, new backup solution. And then a big thing that might be coming before the board is funding for ADA compliance on our website. So there's a law that's in a Title II law, maybe misspeaking, but there's a law that requires county entities to have ADA compliant websites now, and ADA compliant documents on their website for constituents. So that will probably be coming before the board because that's going to require some funding.
Joel, can I ask what an ADA website?
Sure. So when I first read that, I was like, what do you
Just
mean?
real
Does a
quick,
Braille
come
come
on.
out?
Yeah, great.
No, but it's actually manipulating the website. So it makes it easy for people who have seeing impairments, hearing impairments. So for example, videos. If you have a video on your website and someone's hearing impaired, there's caption, making sure you have closed caption on there. If you're using colors that don't have good contrast, it may be hard for someone to see if they're colorblind. So it's making sure things are able to be viewed by people with these impairments. And there's one piece we have on our website that will allow you to change colors, change font size, put the website in a different language. There's all these different items that can make seeing the website easier.
So is that compliant then?
We're partially there,
Partially.
and we have to become fully compliant by April of 2027. So that's the deadline for us. One thing we have to look at is documents. So if we put a PDF file on the website, it has to be compliant. And some of those same things, is there good contrast? Is the text legible? Is it not too small? If there's maps, does it have tags? So people, if they can't really see what the map is, but they can read what the map is.
Those updates will come before this committee
Absolutely.
periodically. I know we've done security ones, we've done a security test, but all of those, how we are, all of that will come before the committee and we'll get a brief on it.
That is correct. And I believe these will happen. In the past, we've done them quarterly. I haven't heard anything different than that. But yes, absolutely. So that's kind of a high level overview of IT. Any
Okay.
questions?
The only part, like I said, the shared services, what I was really interested in is like what we do for other municipalities to help them in installation, management. Just, because we do a lot with shared services, using our tools and techniques and our ability and helping the smaller communities and cities. Right, we do installs, we manage their infrastructure.
Yep, and we'll talk about that in actually the next discussion item.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So are we good with everything here? With that, we'll move on to information technology, shared services.
Okay,
And Joel, I believe you have the floor again.
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
All right. So in the report that I have in your packet, we currently provide shared services for 9 municipalities, and they're listed in that. And that is everything that you mentioned, where it's the help with installation of equipment, monitor their network, make sure they have security software in place, making sure that their licensing for Microsoft products is current. We track all that for them. We help them order. So we don't get involved with any of the purchasing. We get all the quotes ready for them. We pass it on to the municipality, and they do all the procurement, but we do all the management of that. We also provide them help desk support. So if there's an issue, they can call into us. One of the documents in your packet is this IT shared services overview. And this kind of really goes into detail of what we cover. So from network to security to servers to help user support, PC support, that's all in this document. There is a map on there, and this was put together by our GIS department of Washington County here. And the green section is currently areas that are supported with IT shared services agreements. So those 9 municipalities, that's on here. which covers, according to the 2020 population census, from GIS, we cover about 21.8% of the US population in these IT shared services. So constituents of these municipalities, which is about 29,000 people
Of the county's
of the count. I'm sorry. Yeah. Did I say the state? I'm-
You said country.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the county. Sorry.
Yep.
It happens. Recently, we've had a number of municipalities kind of unsolicited reach out to us. Germantown was one of them, the village of Richfield, the town of Barton, the city of Hartford, the village of Jackson. They have actually reached out to us interested in IT shared services. IT is becoming one of those necessary evils. And the costs are just going up, and the level of support. Government's very unique in some of the tools that we have. Especially with like Germantown, and I have the police chief here. We have very special tools for police departments, and trying to find a managed service provider that can support that very specialized software is kind of hard, which leads for harder support. But all support is also expensive. The village of Richfield is the costs are going up. I mean, and they've talked about that. So they're kind of looking at the county, hey, what can we do as a county? They see the other shared services that we present. So they've kind of reached out and kind of wanted to see, what is available. Part of the strategic priorities for 25 through 2027 includes advancing shared services. And last year we put a hold on shared services because of personnel. I think we're at a good spot, the 9 that we have with the 1 support person that I have dedicated. I mean, that's all we can handle right now. If we would want to continue shared services to municipalities, then I'd be asking for personnel. So right now, I'm not asking for personnel and funding. We have to work all those details out. What I'm asking and what the motion would be here for is to policy to, continue on with shared services. Do we want to look at that? I did put some estimated costs in here if I would have to hire people. Now we're starting to deal with larger municipalities. So a lot of the towns that we have right now, they're so small. Some of them are in the office a couple of days a week, so it's easy for us to manage. As we get into these larger municipalities, it requires more manpower. Like for example, in my personal professional opinion, Village of Germantown, I could probably provide 2 full-time people. I think I can get it done with existing staff with another person and a half, to be honest. But if they would have to go out and get IT for their own village, I think 2 people would have to be the minimum for them. So that.
I'm sorry, you're saying that Germantown would need their own 2 people, but for us to envelop them would be.
Yeah, 1.5. And that's because I have an extra support system with us.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have, like I say, I have 10 people on my staff, and we could pitch in, and I can get a little bit out of, some of all of us. We all kind of chip in and help out with the municipalities. So I can make it more efficient by doing it this route. Along with this, and I put some benefits in here of IT shared services, is a lot of these municipalities with the budgets of what they are in government, they cannot afford to have an IT staff on hand. They cannot afford to pay the staff that I have. IT is one of those professional positions that just, if you want good quality people, you got to pay for it, unfortunately. So that's where some of these municipalities are running into issues.
Yeah, if I can add to that though, my understanding was with regards to shared services was that if municipalities wanted us to share whatever IT or road services, they would come and request it from us, and then we would establish a budget accordingly, and include that or whatever we decided into the full budget.
Correct.
But you're asking us, should we expand? My personal thought is, I think we should reach out to all of them and then see where this goes, right? See what we can do to help these out. So I'm not sure if this is a motion and voting thing right now, or if it's just that, yeah, we should go in this direction and then bring your dollars to us and then we vote on it later.
Yeah, and
So
that's the one thing I put in here on page 3 of my report is, and this was based on recommendation, I guess, from County Executive Schulman and Scott Schmidt, is do we want to put the time in to actually gather this information? knowing what these estimated costs could be,
Okay.
do we want to even pursue this further?
I'm interested in any way we can help our villages and townships and stuff like that. Yes.
Okay.
I think we should. I don't know how, what the rest of the committee feels, but we offered this shared services.
Mhm.
I'd like to see what kind of feedback we got back, and it seems to be rolling out. It seems to be growing. There's more and
Mhm.
more interest, and I understand our budget may be limited,
Right.
but seeking it and asking, I would say, yeah, let's ask everybody and see where this goes.
Okay. Yeah, and then with that, what I would do is probably come back with this, and then the way they have this set up right now is tentatively, if you guys would want to continue down that path, it would go to the county board to decide that.
Mhm. Sure.
And then in June, I would come back with, hey, let's look at Germantown and Richfield, and then let's put real dollars to it and start really honing in on that.
Sure, sure. Supervisor Galich, you got a question?
I also agree that the county can be that leader and the IT side of it. And we are using, if I'm not mistaken, sales tax dollars to fund most of those, if not all of those services to the IT shared services to the municipalities. So let's continue to use those sales tax dollars for that.
Well, that's the pot that you're supposed to.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
But it's
Right.
not directly tied.
Sure.
Right.
So I'm assuming when you're talking about reaching out to those municipalities that currently aren't using your services, will you provide them with, this is what we can do? To your point of, and maybe you're ready with your estimated FTEs that you have listed here, you're making an assumption on the size of them, what other municipalities have requested from the county. So that's a good approximation of plus or minus, $20,000 or $30,000, what it could be.
Right. Yeah, that's 100% correct. The municipalities that have reached out to me under the column that contacted, yes, I'm pretty confident in those. And like I say, this estimated cost that's employee salary plus benefits, right? The ones that have not reached out to me, I don't really know what their full operations are based, but you are correct. This is based on some of the other small towns that we deal with. We assume that the operations are similar.
Joel, are we billing anybody for labor for?
We are
for
not.
our-
Nope.
So there's no billable in this to the municipalities
That is correct.
at all so far.
So far.
Okay,
Yep.
I wanna
Yeah,
say, I wanna make sure that's clear.
the one position that we do have, right, the one position we do have is covered by sales tax for shared services, and that is Mike Taylor's position.
Yeah, my understanding is we do bill them, but then we show them a credit. Because you have
Correct,
to have
correct.
the paper trail, right?
Right.
So, for accounting.
But
So
For
you have to
accounting
keep
purposes.
track of it, right?
In certain circumstances, this could come to where that's well in excess of that.
Well, it could, as we noticed
Just
with
like
the
fire
bridge aid,
departments,
right?
Bill out, have contracts. and
Yep.
Things like that. You pay, you might get subsidized. but
Sure.
You might wind up,
Mhm.
kicking in, right?
Yep. So are we
They're
all,
paying for it right now. I mean, they're paying for it right
Right.
now.
right,
So,
are we all thumbs up? Are we all into moving forward with this then?
well,
The census with,
I would, so I would actually not go along with that. I actually think if they're already coming to him,
oh, gotcha.
why not take them as they come rather than have him go out and solicit and kind of have this thing. So, I mean, if a municipality's coming forward, that could be because they're having a retirement or they're, some of these things that are having. So rather than us saying, well, let's just go out and ask everybody this, why don't we just, they know we're here. They know this is going on. If they're coming to them, they can evaluate them as they come. So I'm actually not in favor of that idea.
That's a good point, because if we go out there and say, hey, we've got this service, we'll take care of this for you, that kind of blows our budget.
Well,
The solicitation implies that you're.
If you look at it from a budget standpoint, is can we physically do that
Mhm.
and be able to afford it? So I mean, I
Yeah, it
understand. what you're
implies
saying.
that you're actively doing something that that you may not, at this point, be capable of doing. So why not just take them as they come? And that should be the policy. That should be how we do this.
and I believe I believe in the beginning of this whole thing, we already reached out to all the municipalities already, right?
We have in the past.
Yeah, so they're aware we are
At this
offering
point, you
this.
just let it lie. They
Uh,
don't.
but you are saying others are coming,
Yeah, I have,
others are coming in, so I kind of agree with that too. Yeah, if we go that route and just let them come to us.
Sure.
And they know they already know rather than solicit it, you know?
Right.
Cause again, I thought we'd run into this problem before is as this grows, we
Mhm.
might run into budget problems,
Right.
right? With keeping up with the pace, so.
The reality, sorry, if we're talking about those numbers, what you said we have 9 municipalities we're already working with?
Currently 9, yes.
And another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 have requested. That covers all of them.
But, yeah,
But for 1 or 2, so just get it all done so we understand what it is.
Yeah,
And then we could, because if 6 out of the remaining 8 have already contacted you, just include the other 2 and be done with it. I could see Supervisor McCulloch's, sorry,
Ken.
Ken. Point is if if we're only dealing with 2 and we got 16 remaining, instead of going out to all of them, but we darn near have everyone covered at this point, but 2. So instead of them coming to you 2 months later because they heard all their peers came out to you,
Sure.
they all talk.
They
Sure.
do.
So
absolutely.
just be done with it. For the
Yeah.
2 remaining, just be done. That's my opinion.
And I mean, what are left are
How many?
Germantown and Richfield have the highest population, so we're gonna be learning a lot.
Yeah.
Based
Mhm.
off of the needs that Germantown and Richfield would, have, so
Sure.
I would agree, the population just gets smaller and we already have the rest, so we might as well look at the whole nugget, cause we're almost there.
Makes sense. Do you have the intel you need to move forward?
Okay. So then I guess my next question, does this come before the board next, or is it just, do you want me just to bring
I
the
think
first
we'll-
couple?
I think we're gonna need some data first.
Okay,
And then we can do a resolution, right? Depending on what he brings forward from there on. And then we'll review that.
sounds good.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Chair, because.
One more
what you're
quick question.
proposing Here, the estimated FTE, there's not a total down here, but if everybody and the 2 that haven't provided any input yet, they come back and there's 0.10 like the other, Polk and Barton. What ultimately would you come back to us, say, look, we need another 1.1 or 2.2 or 3 point FTE?
It would determine this on the situation and who's all interested, like, for example, Polk and Village of Slinger. I don't know if they're interested in services or not.
Understood. And then converse, how would that be paid for? If there's room within the service, I'm assuming you're going to go to, excuse me, Aaron Dahl and say, hey, look, is there any room in the sales tax? And if not, then this is what it would mean.
Right, yeah, that decision would be up to the board and the executive to prioritize where they want to spend that shared services
Yeah, I
dollars.
think once we get the information and then we'll know dollar amounts and then we can determine where we want to go
Sure.
from there.
But to have the information, I think would be important.
We need to have it. Yep,
Absolutely.
important.
I mean, along with that would be whatever savings those municipalities would be saving on their end too, so we can
For sure.
see how that would,
I can do that as well.
that would be important.
Sounds good. Due to the time constraints here, I think we're gonna move on.
Sounds good.
So if you got what you need,
I do.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Transit ridership report. Charlie, you got the floor. You got about 30 seconds. Sorry to make it crunch time, but
My name is Charlie Kofta. I'm the transit manager for Washington County. I manage the grants, the budget, the policies and procedures, procurement and reporting for the shared ride taxi program. So the shared ride taxi program, it's been operating for over 20 years. It's currently operated by Go Right Way. They just started this year. We have 30 ADA vehicles, which are owned by the county. We offer door-to-door service through all of Washington County. Hartford and West Bend have their own taxi service. I'll just skip to the report here. So each month I give a report on ridership operational statistics for the shared ride taxi. If you look at your report, you can see ridership by month for the past several years. This includes March and April, which there was no meeting last month, so that includes the previous meetings numbers. The bottom left has data requested by previous committees. The trips, the total cost per trip, the fare revenue, fares per trip, and billed hours. So the contractor is paid by hours per driver. So if 3 drivers are driving in 1 hour, that'd be 3 billed hours, which is why it's in the thousands there. The top right is the fare type. We have a general fare, agency fares, which are paid by organizations, not by the rider. We have elderly disabled fares, which are self-identified, hospitals, which are subsidized by medical foundations. And then we also have a table on the bottom right for self-reported trip purposes. These categories were created by the state for their quarterly reports. As you can see, employment is the top category. And then on my second page there, I have the average trips by hour and day of week. So I just took the average total trips per day, year to date, and it's broken down by day of week and hour. And we use this data, we give it to our provider to help them schedule drivers and also make decisions regarding the hours of the shared ride taxi service. Are there any questions on the report or the taxi service?
Other than the ride level went down a little bit, as we've seen, but again, because we're kind of limited on time here, we'll get into this more for the new members here and
Can I
study
ask
it
a quick
more.
Question?
Oh, what was that?
I say, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Charlie, trips billed per hour, that number keeps getting like closer to 1 from 1.25. What do you attribute that to? Why does it seem like there's that you're getting, fewer trips billed per hour than say going back 3 years ago? It's sort of an odd, because the other thing that happens is if you look at the cost per hour, like the last 3 years, it's starting to exponentiate, where it was like a 2% increase, then now it's like 8, now it's like 9% for the cost per hour. And that's just an interesting phenomena, for lack of a better word.
So this year, it definitely increased. Our 5-year contract ended last year.
Yep.
And so we had to procure a new service, and the rate was about $5 higher
Yeah.
or $3 higher per hour than the previous year. And so that's a big driver of the cost per trip there. And the trips billed per hour,
Yeah.
it was a little lower in the beginning of the year. It is a new provider. They were just catching up. They used to do the city taxi, so they're just ramping up their operations, just getting used to the clients. It's a lot of the same dispatchers and drivers from the county, but just a new management. The trips billed per hour, there was less trips in 2024 from 2023. There was the fare increase, and we did decrease the hours. So ridership has been lower. So just, it could be circumstantial with different people riding each year. It could be different individuals. It could look further into that trend for the trip per hour.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thanks.
Last item on the agenda is the time, determining a recurring date and time for future meetings. Are we all okay with this 3 o'clock on Thursday?
Third Thursday.
Keeping it the way it's been?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move forward with that. Nothing else. This meeting is